His Majesty's government is urged to take immediate action against some extreme threats of potential protest and riots throughout the nation. Multiple people have expressed their anger throughout social media services, such as X, formerly Twitter, to the current establishment and Prime Minister in this country. Many civilians have demanded for change and have threatened to cause civil unrest. It's alleged that there may be potential riots caused by the following social media post as written: "The people have had enough of the madness from our current government Prime Minister and demand change. Our nation has become a joke. Join me in London as we make history and make this country great again." We shall begin on the 23rd of June at 3 p.m. Many people have expressed concerns and fear towards the uprising anger and hatred rapidly spreading in the nation. Police are on high alert as this could very well be similar to the London riots which took place almost 13 years ago, which resulted in chaos and destruction for 4 days. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer is urged to take action before it could very well escalate into another tragic event. For now, all we can do is be prepared for any potential violence which may come our way, but most importantly, remain calm as we wait for His Majesty, the King or the Prime Minister, to address the nation. Join us as we continue to
Sorry about that, but we've had to halt programming due to unforeseen circumstances. All BBC channels have now been merged to issue this emergency broadcast for the safety of our viewers. Please listen carefully to the following announcement as it is crucial to your safety. As you may know by now, fears of violence have not been unheard of ever since the recent threats made by an anonymous social media user. Police are currently on high alert as it's highly likely that protests may occur and are working day and night to ensure that no tragedies unfold due to anti-establishment groups. Law enforcement will be present in all major cities such as London, Manchester and Liverpool to ensure the safety of civilians. With that being said, if you notice any unlawful activity or any form of violent protest, you should report it to the police right away. As we speak, businesses are currently closing and taking precautions in the event of potential violence. You should exercise extreme caution and not encourage or partake in criminal activity. To stay updated on this developing situation, please stay tuned to BBC News and this channel. You will also be alerted via mobile phone with the government's emergency alert system. For now, please remain cautious and safe while being respectful and safe to everyone around you.
Like just said, we are expecting a statement from the Prime Minister shortly regarding the recent threats made by a few extremist groups. The government appears to be considering this as a high priority due to the rapid increase of distrust and anger towards the current establishment. Further threats were also made today of potential violent protest by an account on X, formerly Twitter, stating the following: "We shall attack and show our government who's truly in charge within a few days. The time for change is upon us. Tell everyone you know about the greatest uprising in the history of the United Kingdom." Rightfully so. This has made people feel uneasy and on edge with these threats made by this user, and we advise anyone to report any online posts to the police which incite or encourage misconduct. We've also just been notified that
programming for all ITV channels have been paused to issue you this emergency announcement. We would also like to state that this is not a test, so please pay attention to the following message. His Majesty's government has issued a warning for anyone who is threatening to start or partake in any form of violent rebellion against the establishment of our country. This warning has been issued following the recent social media posts by extremist groups. The Prime Minister has stated that rioting of any kind shall not be tolerated whatsoever. Anyone who's seen to be causing misaction or encouraging it shall face the full force of the law and will regret it instantly. Police are currently on high alert and will not hesitate to use their authority to detain anyone who is partaking in any illegal activity. Many arrests of people attempting to cause harm to local communities have been done by police. The Prime Minister has made it abundantly clear what the consequences are for causing havoc on the streets. This also includes posting extreme content online with the intention of causing violence. With that being said, it's suggested that you take action for your own safety. We advise you board up your home to stop protesters from potentially breaking inside. While there is no ongoing chaos, it's still uncertain that there could be any threats posed to your local community. If you believe you're in danger or at risk of harm, do not hesitate to contact the police, and they shall assist you shortly. You may experience delays in the event of emergency services being overwhelmed with requests. This cannot be urged enough. If you notice anything that may result in potential civil unrest, you must report it immediately. At the moment, places all across the country are being forced to ramp up security due to a situation similar to the London riots, most likely certain to happening. However, regardless, it's important that you remain calm at all times to avoid the situation from further escalating. Despite the turbulent times we're in, it's important to remember the values that unify us as a nation. Together, we can face anything that comes our way, no matter how big it is. We would also like to thank all of the essential services for working hard and keeping us safe. That's all the information we have to bring you for now. Please stay tuned for further news via ITV News or this channel. It's also worth mentioning that you can also be notified through the government's mobile emergency alert system.
Channel 5 has halted its programming to issue you some new information regarding the possibilities of dangerous riots taking place across the United Kingdom. Please take a listen. There is a high chance of deadly protests happening, according to recent updates. Today, there has been multiple arrests have been made for individuals who were alleged to be attempting to incite any riots through social media. The suspects in question were extremely hostile and also were seen to be resisting arrest by police. Due to the brave and swift action of the authorities, they were detained and taken to the nearest police station for further questioning. Evidence has shown that the social media posts made by the anonymous suspects were hinting at a potential terror attack on the Houses of Parliament, which almost was successful and nearly became a reality. Police also found the suspects to be in possession of explosives, which were most likely going to be activated inside the building, which would have caused a horrific tragedy. This was clearly going to be a politically motivated attack that was intended to add further fuel to the riots that are alleged to be taking place tomorrow. Following this, the Houses of Parliament and other relevant landmarks are under constant surveillance and watch due to fears of more attempted attacks being sparked. The Prime Minister also has openly just stated to the public that there will be harsh criminal penalties for anyone who is seen to be causing further violence or even attempting to do so. Any misconduct should be reported right away, as doing so may just prevent another situation like this from almost happening. It's also in your best interest to follow all updates given through media outlets and emergency broadcasts. Here on Channel 5, we wish you all the best and pray for your own safety, as the day of civil unrest is highly likely to be creeping towards us sooner than we think. Goodbye for now and good luck. Normal programming shall now resume for the time being.
As you can see here, Parliament is being heavily guarded to avoid any further attacks from extremists, as well as other areas across major cities, as the country prepares for brutal and vicious protests tomorrow. We can assure you that the government and law enforcement are doing everything in their power to ensure that no major incidents will happen. Earlier, this post was made further amplifying the threat which
We're very sorry for the interruption, but we have the following message requested by His Majesty's government. Please take a listen. A bomb has just been found and removed from 11 Downing Street a few hours after an explosion at the buildings of Parliament was prevented. According to reports, the bomb was extremely close to detonating with the intention of blowing up the Prime Minister's residence. Thankfully, nobody was present before the bomb was removed and safely deactivated, which resulted in 0 casualties. Upon hearing the news, the Prime Minister was shocked and terrified of the attempted attack on Downing Street and his own life. It's not known whether the bomb was planted by the same suspects who attempted to blow up Parliament. However, an inquiry is being launched shortly as a response to this serious incident. Regardless of the area you're in, you still are considered at risk due to the supposed civil unrest that may occur tomorrow. If you notice any suspicious activity or you know may need assistance, do not hesitate to contact the relevant emergency services for guidance. While more arrests are being made across the country, we advise you submit any relevant information or evidence that can aid in detaining anyone who may pose a risk to the lives of civilians throughout the country. The government has made it clear that anyone who is partaking in any unlawful activity shall regret it and will be found. This also includes inciting violence through social media as well. Following this, internet activity will also be monitored to prevent and identify any potential terror offences. That's all the news we have at the moment to provide you. We thank you for your cooperation despite the uncertain times we're in. Normal programming shall now resume. For now, farewell and remain safe.
We interrupt our normal programming to issue you an emergency broadcast which will contain key information for your own safety. Listen carefully to what's being shown on screen and ensure that your device is audible. Here on Channel 4, we advise that all of our viewers remain indoors, as it's expected that the supposed riots may occur today, following the frightening social media posts made by various extremists. According to multiple surveys, almost every innocent civilian no longer feels safe in their own residence. It's also already been witnessed that crowds of armed rioters are flocking to major cities such as London, Manchester, Liverpool, and Birmingham. Armed forces are currently in all areas throughout the country preparing for any potential violence on the streets. In preparation for any attacks, the Prime Minister and His Majesty, the King, have been moved to a safe and confidential place to prevent any further attempts of harm. It has also been stated that there may be restrictions put into place if any form of dangerous rebellion against the current establishment. There is an extremely high chance that some form of savage protests may occur today, despite law enforcement's endless efforts to prevent any horrific events from unfolding. As we speak, a few police officers have been attacked by furious crowds of criminals already. At the moment, the officers have been transported to the nearby medical center for further treatment and are highly injured due to the aggravated assault on them. Following this, there were further assaults reported, which were allegedly targeted towards 2 innocent bystanders. The bystanders in question were attacked by a masked man holding a machete, which resulted in numerous stab wounds. After attempted medical assistance, both of them passed away at the scene a few minutes later. Currently, the police are searching for the alleged murderer and have yet to locate him before further harm may be committed by the same perpetrator. If you have any information or know the whereabouts of the perpetrator, you should inform the police right away, as it could very well save lives. You're also advised to remain indoors until it's been proven that this has all been cleared over. Do not hesitate to dial 999 if you believe you're in severe danger or you feel like your life is at great risk. This channel shall continue to provide you updates and news about this ongoing situation. For now, we advise you remain diligent at all times and never let your guard down, as it's predicted that further tragedies may occur. Normal programming shall resume shortly.
This is an emergency broadcast from the BBC requested by His Majesty's government. Normal programming shall be suspended indefinitely. Please take a listen at the following message. Just a few moments ago, an unknown suspect opened fire on a large crowd of citizens in London. This attack is alleged to have injured many people and has also potentially killed a large number of victims. The victims are alleged to be ranging from protesters to innocent bystanders. It's highly believed that this attack was clearly politically motivated and was intended to cause as much harm as possible. Further reports have shown us that a member of Parliament who wishes to remain anonymous was also caught in the fire of the attacker and was shot. Thankfully, emergency services came to the rescue and was lucky to have survived. As stated before, the identity of the attacker is unknown, and the situation is still ongoing with military forces struggling to take back control of the area from the shooter and protesters. If you are in London or are near the city, you must evacuate immediately without being seen by the attacker or anyone with malicious intentions. By not evacuating, you are posing a great risk towards your own life. Telephone lines and roads will be closed for military use only. Do not use them unless you believe that your life is truly in danger. Emergency services are extremely close to collapsing due to the mass riots taking place all across the country. If you partake in any misconduct that can overwhelm essential services, you will be instantly prosecuted. At the moment, all BBC channels shall now remain on standby until further notice, and programming shall resume once it's safe to do so. For now, please remain calm, and if you haven't already, be sure to enable emergency alerts on your mobile phone device, as the latest updates will be provided by the government as well.
Following the ongoing riots, police have managed to take the shooter into custody after almost 30 minutes of going on a rampage, killing 20 people and injuring 40 others. While the damage is already done, it's clear that the worst is still yet to come, as protests become more widespread with no sign of stopping anytime soon. While the identity of the mass murderer has been revealed, it was clear from the beginning that this could have been prevented. Police have found social media posts were alleged to be made by the killer, which were also covered before by news outlets like this one. While there were clear signs that a tragedy was going to unfold, nobody recognized the warnings, including the final post before the massacre. It reads, "Within the next hour, I shall deal with the problem which has been plaguing our country for so long. I will not show any mercy towards anyone. If you're fed up with the way everything has been, join me and make history." Understandably so, this had left people questioning why the police didn't tackle this before it transferred from online to the streets in real life. The Prime Minister has made a statement from a discreet location condemning the shooting and the fact that
Programming has been interrupted due to a national emergency taking place. We urge you to listen to this following broadcast as it contains critical information. This is not a drill. Following the shooting that occurred earlier, we regret to inform our viewers of another tragic incident which just occurred not long ago. A bombing took place at the London Eye, which resulted in the landmark shaking rapidly and eventually collapsing, causing catastrophic damage to anything that was around it. Sadly, there were multiple casualties inside the landmark at the time as well. Many people have been severely injured from the fall, with a large number of deaths being reported by the minute. Police are looking into this horrific incident and are on the lookout for any suspicious activity, as the identity of the bomber has yet to be found. Critical infrastructure has also been severely damaged after the collapse of one of London's most famous landmarks. This has caused further mass disruption and chaos as more attacks are sure to follow. In response to this, the Prime Minister has swiftly placed a curfew for all civilians indefinitely. During this period, you may not leave your home under any circumstances. Not abiding by this will result in prosecution and further criminal punishment. PM Keir Starmer has stated that this is intended to calm down the riots happening all across the nation. It's also been made crystal clear that counter-protests against the restrictions will not be tolerated either. Harsh penalties are sure to follow to anyone who is seen rioting over the enforced curfew. We shall now cover some key safety tips to ensure your survival throughout the duration of this period of civil unrest. It's in your best interest to listen to the remainder of this broadcast. Avoid directing any attention to your home to avoid rioters breaking inside. You can do this by closing all curtains, switching off any electricity, and placing any valuable items that could be stolen out of sight. Self-defense has been authorized in the event of your own home being broken into. You'll not face any legal consequences for defending your property or for defending yourself against anyone who is found guilty of violent protest. You should also only call emergency services if your life is truly in danger. As of right now, the riots are showing no sign of calming down, and police are struggling to keep up with the growing number of reports and calls. Everyone here at Sky hopes for your safety and for some form of normality to return soon.
Our deepest condolences go towards those who were affected by the tragic attacks on the London Eye which occurred yesterday. Our hearts go out to everyone affected by the bombing. The identity for the attacker has yet to be revealed, and police are working tirelessly to calm down the riots and put a stop for them once and for all. It's highly speculated that the individuals behind the London Eye bombings were done by no other than the Angels of Peace group, which were responsible for the riots which occurred in 2009. However, this has yet to be confirmed, and you should
You are now watching ITV1. We've had to interrupt programming to issue you an emergency broadcast requested by His Majesty's government. It's extremely important that you pay attention to what's being shown on screen, as it contains vital information and breaking news. Counter-protests have been occurring throughout the nation in response to the curfew restrictions being imposed by the Prime Minister. Multiple people have been seen lighting places and businesses on fire and causing further chaos on the streets. Cities such as Manchester have succumbed to violent protests, with the majority of the city being a war zone as a result. The military is currently still struggling to control the rising numbers of extreme protests. As a result, failure to abide by the curfew rules may result in lethal force. If you are seen to be outside or partaking in any form of criminal activity, you may be prosecuted or shot depending on the severity. It's in your best interest to follow this curfew to ensure your safety and hopefully return to some normality soon. Following this, there has been an attempted attack on Buckingham Palace. A masked suspect was seen to be attempting to light the entrance to the palace on fire before being stopped by guards and police. Due to the quick and brave action of law enforcement, the suspect was arrested and cooperated without question. Another attempted terror attack was also prevented by law enforcement. A bomb was placed in the London Underground and was close to being set off until the person in question was hostile and violent before being taken into custody. Multiple officers were injured by the armed criminal after attempting to restrain the suspect. After almost 10 minutes, the situation was handled and the bomb was disarmed with no further harm being done. The officers were eventually taken to the hospital for treatment and are currently waiting for further medical attention. Following the attempted arson attack on Buckingham Palace, the palace has ramped up security with armed military guarding the entrance to ensure that no further incidents occur. If you appear to pose a risk to any location in the country, you should expect to be arrested or killed. Together, we must do everything we can to keep each other and ourselves safe. Please be considerate towards others throughout these difficult times. Normal programming shall now resume for the time being. If you have any concerns or questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. This channel will provide more information as soon as more becomes available.
This is Channel 4. We have halted our programming indefinitely due to a national emergency. This cannot be urged enough. This is not a drill. Important information will be shown on screen shortly. We regret to inform you that another attack occurred, which resulted in an explosion at the infamous landmark Big Ben. The clock tower collapsed due to severe damage to the infrastructure supporting it. The collapse of Big Ben has also caused catastrophic damage to everything around it. Buildings and people were crushed brutally after the fall of the tower, and plumes of smoke are rapidly spreading throughout London, posing a major risk to the lives of residents and sightseers. Due to this, we advise you evacuate the city immediately. Firefighters are currently on the scene attempting to put out the fires caused by the explosion and the riots. If you are currently stuck in London, emergency services shall guide you to the safest area to exit quickly. It's estimated that a quarter of the city has already been damaged severely due to the attack. Entrances and motorways are currently being blocked to London to ensure that no further casualties occur. If an officer stops to search you for weapons or explosives, compliance is mandatory. You must comply with the authorities if you are considered a threat to the safety and lives of others. Police and other authorities reserve the right to stop anyone who may be a risk to the lives of civilians. Do not hesitate to inform the emergency services if you believe that somebody you know may be involved with violent protests. Our thoughts are with those who are being affected by the currently unfolding events. Hopefully, this may mark the end of the riots once and for all.
This morning, Keir Starmer has just announced his resignation as Prime Minister due to the pressure from the riots that occurred yesterday. These violent protests caused major damage to every part of the country. Businesses and buildings were set on fire. Crime and murder ran rampant throughout yesterday, and multiple terror attacks on famous British landmarks. Years' worth of damage was caused by the riots and will take millions to repair, but sadly, you cannot undo the lives lost as a result. It's estimated that thousands of people died from yesterday's incidents. Flags shall be flown at half-mast to honour those who we have lost and as a reminder of what could have been prevented. It was only a day ago since our nation was turned upside down by violent extremists and anti-establishment groups. This day shall not be forgotten, and the people behind this shall pay for their actions. We want to thank those who have not partaken in these riots or have caused harm to anybody. Join us as we now cover the aftermath of the June 23rd riots.